these were some images I shot last night for a concert that Johnny Dree performed. So what happened was that I came in from London to Manchester where the event was taking place. But fortunately, um, my train was delayed, so I got to the concert really, really late. So by the time I got to the concert, let me go to the full catalog. By the time I got to the concert, Johnny Dree has performed so much, and it was almost going to round up. So I just barely had like 30 minutes left. So quickly, I brought up my camera, started taking some shots. People were already in the front, so trying to calculate my angle, I just started shooting. So I think let me go to the before. So this was how this image was shot, and then I just did a quick edit. Wanted some kind of high contrast black and white vibe. That's spotlights him, and I did something like that here too. The idea was to emphasize on the crowd, and then him as the center of focus. Actually, okay, I think let me show you the one I shot in London, because the one I shot in London was way better because I got there earlier and all that, because I'm in London, so getting to that place was quite easy. Just underground train, I was there. So unlike Manchester, London to Manchester, which is like about 3 hours by train, so it was quite hectic for me. So let me open the London one. I think the London one was very cool. I enjoyed it. Um, and the venue as well. The venue was way, way better. So let me see. Let me share my screen. Just give me a moment. Let me share the second. I'm just using this as an example, all right, because that is like the example that relates so much to what church thing will be like, all right, because most times I do more of portraits, I do more of weddings, so weddings cannot represent this, so that's why I'm showing you this and this concerts that I shot, which represents something that's. So this was the one we shot in London. The venue was mad, the lighting, everything was just on point. So I took these photos, and they have been edited. I think if you look at the before, for example, of this one, this is the before, this is the after. You can see the difference. Look at the before, look at the after. So they have been edited. So look at this, for example. Look at the before, look at the after. Slight adjustment. Let me show you one that was more, intense. Let me look for it. So I took a lot of pictures. At least for this concert, I took about 600 pictures, while the other one I took barely 200 pictures. So you should know that there was a lot of difference. Let's see. Okay, my favorites. Let me look at my favorites. So this was my favorite picture I took. Look at this picture, and this is the before. Before, after. Before, after. Can you spot the difference? I think I want feedback. Oh. I want to be sure that you guys are following. And all right, all right, all right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so now this is what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to introduce you to this software because I love the software so much. It makes it easier for me. The software is called Capture One. Capture One is a raw processing software. So it's what I personally love to use. People use
You said
Lightroom
the software is available on.
only on computers, Windows, Mac. You know, that's where it's
Okay,
available. It's not available on mobile phones.
okay.
Right? So,
Thank you.
yeah. So this way, like the location, the venue, everything was just on point. All right. So they had like different stairs, different places. Then there was something I did. Let me look for that. There was something I did. Let me look for it. Let me see if I can find it. There was something let me see if I'll see it here. I think I should see it here somewhere. I think, let's see, was it? No, 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 I'll look for it. There's something I did, which a lot of people barely do that. I'll look for it. Just give me a moment. It's called it's called um okay, the modern way of saying it, is more of like Brennizer. How many of us have heard of the Brennizer method? Brennizer photography. How many of us have heard of it? Brennizer. Okay, so I will explain it. All right. So I think I did something. So I also call it like more panorama. I should have worked on this picture. I like this picture. I like this picture. I should have worked on this. I think I know what to do with that picture. So let's move on. So if you look at the picture, all these ones have not been edited. If you look at these pictures, I intentionally shot most of them underexposed. All right, and I will come and fix it the way I want. So intentionally, I was just looking for my angles, looking for where I want to stay, just to get as much things into my frame the way I will want. But there's something I'm looking for. I want to show you guys. Um, uh, I should see that thing. I don't think I deleted it. No, it was before this lady came up. Just hold on. I'm trying to look for it. Sorry, I just toggle here and there just to add more people to the call. Uh, hold- just hold on, guys. Yeah. Mhm. So light plays a very major role in whatever images you want to create. So there was no flash. I didn't use any flash. Everything was just strictly what was available. The light engineers were very, very good. They're very good at what they were doing. So I really enjoyed the pictures. Okay, yeah. So I think it was around this point. Okay, yeah. So look at it. So after I took this shot, so the next shot I took, okay, then I started taking shots from this corner. So because my lens that I was using was 28 mm, and I cannot see the entire room with one shot. So what I did was that I stayed at one position, then started taking picture while shifting gradually. So I took this, took this, took this, took this, took this, like that gradually. But what happened was that I started losing lights because the engineers were playing with the light based on the music as the music is playing. So they didn't give me the opportunity to go around properly. So I started from here. I was
Okay,
just
so
going.
what is the drone camera?
Was it what?
A drone?
No, I was standing like this is the roof, the ceiling. I was looking up.
Okay,
I was looking
okay,
up.
I got it.
Yeah,
I got it.
I took I,
Okay.
I take a picture, move slightly, take a picture, move slightly, take a picture. I was just I was just doing it like that. All right. So I was just doing it like that. Then the moment I was getting close to the other side, they changed the lighting. So it affected my results. So I really wanted to just get it down completely. But however, this one from here to the point I got, which is let's say around this point, you can see these six pictures. You can right click and merge them. You see what they call merge to HDR, no, sorry, merge to panorama. When you click on merge to panorama, it will stitch the picture together as one instead of having separate shots. It stitches the picture together. So you can see it's trying to stitch the picture. If the lighting was in order, it will stitch this picture better. And then there are different presets on how it will stitch the picture. So this one, I don't like this perspective. And there are different what's it called? Settings you can apply to it to get different results, and you cannot pick whichever works best for you. Does anybody want to ask a question?
Yes, sir, please, I can't see your screen.
Oh, you can see it. Oh. Let me see.
Maybe it can be
We
a
can see
network
the
problem.
screen. Leave the call and
It
join
can be,
again, please.
yes, the
No, no,
network. Yeah.
wait. No, you're not seeing the panorama. Like that's what she's saying. She's not seeing. I'm coming. I know what she's talking about. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah. So stitch to panorama. See it here. Can you see now?
Okay, yes, thank you. I can see.
Okay. So after merging the pictures together, all right. So it's not me that did it. I just shot the pictures, then I selected them, and then I clicked on mesh to panorama. Then that's what that's the result they gave me. So I could, come here and try to, adjust this or maybe change the perspective. All right. So, but I didn't get the shot completely, so I didn't use this. But that's something I wanted to create. I think I later did something similar. Let me show you guys that one. I'll share my screen again. I later did something. Um, I later did something. I think it was. I gave it another shot. Let me look for it. I gave it another shot. I'm trying to look for that picture. No, I had not gone upstairs that time. I need to look for that picture. Oh, let me remove this thing. There was one I used. I'm coming. I'll look for it now. Was he here? Was he here? No. Let me go up again. There was one I used. I stitched it and I liked the results. And I'm trying to look for it now. I'm not seeing it yet. Oh my god. Just hold on, guys. I'm coming. I didn't know I was going to share this catalog, so I didn't prepare it. So, like I was talking about storytelling the other day, I said you focus on action, the person's portrait, you focus on the environment and what is going on. Like you don't just take only headshots. Like let there be more than just one picture. Like in terms of one style of picture that they are just seeing the person's face. They're just seeing the person's face. They're just zooming into the face. No, you can shoot from the crowd. No, I did some shot from the crowd. I did some shot from different angles. I did some shot placing my subject at an angle. Those are the creative ways you can actually take these pictures and make them look very, very unique. And then meanwhile, this kind of effect that this light gave, if for example this light didn't give this effect, I could still achieve it when I'm editing. All right. I will show you some of those things today. I could still achieve it when I'm editing just to get what I want because I want my picture to appear in a certain way. I can't find. Oh my god. I thought I did something like that. I don't know why I can't find it now. Can't find it. Did I come back down? I think so. I think so. Okay. Let's see. Can't find it. Anyway, you guys already have the point. So let's move on to our class. So this is capture one, and in capture one, it's just like the way Lightroom is. If you're familiar with Lightroom, the way people are just joining at different times is distracting. Let's see if I can cope. Struggling between this and adding people. Okay, so capture one. Let's go back to my Manchester shoot. So in capture one, the first thing you'll notice is that Capture One has a different interface from our regular, you know, photo editing software. So here we have the library, we have the tether. I have a YouTube video that you guys can watch that explains everything about Capture One. So I may not be able to do that in this class, but I'm going straight to the point what you need Capture One for. So the first thing is that when you want to open Capture One, it is advisable to start with new session. Don't do new catalog. All right. So new catalog, let me say new catalog is like, let's say you have a house, a very big house, and everybody find any corner to stay. Compared to you have a very big compound with different houses. For section separates each of the projects. But for catalog, it's as if you have a very big house and all you are putting all your projects there. So catalog will be very, very, very difficult to separate what you are doing. Instead, the section, when you do new section, you just be pointing a particular project. So, for example, this is a section I call the Johnny Dre Live Manchester. So, you can have a section for a particular project, a section for a particular concert you guys are doing in church or anything. So, you just name it based on the section. So, when I click on new section, I can call it the name I want and then choose where I want it to be saved. And I click OK and then to open. When it opens, the pictures are going to be, like the section is going to be blank, no pictures. So what you do is to click on import, and then you can now go to import from. You click on choose, and you go and choose where the pictures are. Then you select them and review for import. So let me put my memory card right now so you can just see what I'm talking about. Just a moment. So once I insert my card into my laptop, so I can just come to, you can see automatically because that's the last thing I selected. So automatically selecting and showing me pictures from the card. All right. Or I could come here, choose, and go and select the card. The moment I select the card and I click review for import, all the pictures in the card are going to show up. Then I cannot pick what I want. So if I want all of them, I will click on pick all. And it will pick up everything. But if I want a few of them, I can select them. Once I select them, make sure there's this check icon, and then I'll click on import. When I do that, it's going to import the pictures. So that's how to import pictures. All right. So once you import the pictures, what do? You'll go to this one called the adjust. This is where the magic happens. So let's go to this image, for example. Let me see. Let me go to the ones I selected. So let's go to this image, for example. All right. So when I come to adjust, nothing has been done to this image. You can see nothing has been done. The image, this is how it came from camera. So now, the first thing I want to do is when I look at this angle here, you see the first thing here you see is histogram. The histogram just gives you like a representation of what the image is. It has a lot of dark elements. That's why it's pushing to this side. Then some areas are bright, and then the midtones are not so much. So that's why it is like this. So that's what is representing the image. Why this is layers and mask. This is where you can be able to stack your effects and localize your effects. If you want the effect to happen if you want to change only this color of this light, or you want to change only the color of this light, or you want to make sure that everybody here, they are bright, you could do that using layers and mask. All right, let me just quickly go through explaining them. Then next one is style brushes. I don't use it. I don't use match look. I don't use it. Most times it doesn't give me the result I want. Then the next one is white balance. I use white balance. All right, I can, I can move the white balance to look for the color I want. But most times, I don't think it's necessary, depending on how the image is. If the image is not coming out the way I want, then I work on the white balance. All right. If I want it to look more yellow than it is, I can make it look more yellow. Or if I want it to look more blue. So, but I think looking more yellow looks way, way better. It follows the vibe of this light. So, you know, everything is subjective. Do you? Then exposure. This is what controls how bright or how dark the image is. So you can see if I make it dark like this, you can see the vibe it is giving. and then let's say I add this to it, and then maybe I do something like this. I like the vibe, but I don't like it for the subject. I can do it for the background. I don't add it to the subject. That's where your layers and mask comes in. That I can separate it, that this particular effect I did will only affect the background and not the subject. We're going to do something like that very soon. Okay. So then there's brightness and there's saturation, there's highlights that controls the bright areas of the image, there's shadow that controls the dark areas of the image, there's white. So pretty much all these things that you use in Capture One, they are completely based on sliders. What do I mean? Sliders in the sense that you move it to the left, you move it to the right, and find where you like. Find the sweet spot and stay there. So it's not a situation where you know there's one number that fits all. You cannot tell me, hey, what's the number of highlight that you use? You cannot, there's no number. You just push it to the point where it looks good to you. All right. So that's how it works. Then curves and levels. Levels is the black leg, the gray leg, and the white leg. This one controls the bright areas. This one controls the gray areas, the mid tones. This one controls the black areas. So, but I really do not like to use this so much. So but I use it sometimes. If I want to use it, most times I focus on the white leg just to add more shine to the image. Because the moment I'm moving this, you can see it's brightening the bright areas of the image a little bit. So I like that. So I don't like to touch this side because this one makes those dark areas so dark. So most times I don't like touching it. I just move this a little bit, but not all the time. Depends. So then the curves, well, I don't use that. Then another thing I like to use is actually the color balance. Sorry, the color editor. For the color editor, I like to use the advanced. So I can take the advanced, pick a color I like, and then I can mess with the color if I want to. But not all the time. I don't do that all the time, but just so you know. Then basic, I can see all the colors here and I can adjust them. Red, orange, yellow, green, and all of that. I could adjust them individually. I could adjust their hue. So, for example, if I go to yellow, for example, I can move yellow to look like green or move yellow to look like orange. But yellows are not yellow. These ones are actually, all these ones are orange. So, if I go to orange, I can move orange to look more like yellow, yellowish green, or I can move it towards, pinkish kind of color. So, that's how the hue works. But if you talk about saturation, it talks about intensity, more of it or lack of it, all right? Then lightness talks about how bright it is or how dark that particular color is. So that's what we'll do there, but I will show you how we apply them. The white color balance is when you want to add some kind of vibe to your image. Let's say all these areas that are dark, I don't want them to just be black like that. I want to add some bit of blue to those black. I can put blue, then I can come to maybe the highlights and make it add some your yellow to it, maybe the mid tones. You can just mess around with the color. But for me, I always advise if you have not trained your eyes to see how a good color is, don't mess with it. So what do I mean? So for example, if you want to mess with things like this or this color thing, what I think you should do first is have an image by the side that you are trying to copy the color. That way you are training your eyes to see good color. Because if you use your mind to just say, let me just move it around, and your head, this thing will look fine until you show it to somebody else and the person will be like, what is this? So you don't want to mess with your let me say your confidence. So what you should do is train your eyes. How do you train your eyes? You look at another person's event picture and then that they have edited, you try to color grade your own, move the color, you look at the person's shadow and try to imitate the shadow, what is in the shadow. If the shadow had green, if maybe, like, let's say the shadow had some green, maybe the highlights had some blue, you try to imitate what you are seeing. By doing that, you are trying to train your eyes on how to see colors better than you are not experienced in it at all. You have not done any form of training. You just do book better. And I think some of you understand what book better means. It means guesswork, and at the end of the day you are going to have a result that will not look good. Then another thing is clarity. I don't use black and white, even though black and white changes your image to black and white, but I prefer to do it manually rather than using this particular slider. The clarity, can make your image soft or make your image more crunchy and punchy and have a lot of contrast. Can make your image look very sharp with details or look very soft. Then dehaze. If there's so much smoke, you can reduce the smoke effect with this, with the dehaze slider. Then vignette is to darken the edges and put more attention to the subject at the middle. All right, so that's pretty much what all these things are. We're gonna be applying them. All right, so to apply them, let's talk about these layers and masks because that's where the magic takes place. So if you come to this plus and you right click, you'll see something called empty layer, filled layer, clone layer, and hue layer. Let me explain what they mean. Empty layer, when I click on empty layer, any adjustment, you will discover that nothing will be working. Nothing is working simply because I used an empty layer. Another word for empty layer means a layer that is hiding, it is covering. So what it means is that we have to take a brush and reveal the effects. So if I'm moving now, it is going to be showing. I don't know if you understand that. All right. So then if I move, I go to field layer. If I make any adjustment, you can see it's affecting the image the moment I'm adjusting because I did a field adjustment. Then clone adjustment. Clone adjustment is for fixing things. So it will select the clone, so none of these things will work. So what you are supposed to do is that if, for example, let's say, let me see, what can I do? Let's say, okay, let's say this mic is distracting. I don't like this mic. I can just come, I can sample, hold it alternate. I can sample this side of the curtain and brush on this guy just because I want to remove it. Of course, because of the exposure of difference, it's not so nice. All right. So that's why there's another tool called the heal layer. So when I come to the heal layer, I just brush on the area I don't like, and then Capture One will look for something to fill it. That's how it works. Okay. So, well, let's move on. So that's what that does. Then, yep. So let's say I create a field layer adjustment. I do a lot of adjustment, and then I'm tired. Like, I feel it's too intense. I want to reduce it. Instead of me going over to reduce each of the things I've done, I can come to the opacity and reduce the opacity of that layer. That's why it is good to always create layers to do your adjustment so that you can have some bit of control over what you have done. So then let's talk about the empty layer. For the empty layer, because the empty layer is hiding, you have to be the one to reveal where you want things to work. There are three different type of brush you can use. The first one is the manual brush. The manual brush is the brush that only the area you paint that will be affected. So if I paint like this, but right now you cannot see what I'm painting. If you want to see what I'm painting, you have to click on the key on your keyboard that says M. M means mask. So you can see anywhere I'm brushing now is where the manual brush is working. So if I press M to hide my mask and I reveal my effect, look at it, it's going to affect only the area that I brushed manually. So another type of brush you see here is the magic brush. So if I create an empty layer, I take the magic brush. Look at what happens. If I press M to see my keyboard, magic brush, if I click on anything, it will select similar colors. It will select similar colors around it. All right. So in the situation where I'm trying to select the background, can you see how as I'm clicking, I can even brush, even if I don't want to click brush, it will select similar colors. That's how it works. So if I hide my mouse by pressing M, if I come to reveal my effects, can you see that it's only going to affect the area? This now looks like a good effect. It not affect the area that my brushing took place. I hope you guys are following. I just want to be sure. Are you guys
Yes, sir.
following?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, we're following, sir.
okay, so I'm just
Yes,
still
sir.
trying to introduce you guys to the software anyways. So let's
Yes,
move
sir.
on. So you guys should try and watch that video on my YouTube because it's very long. I think it's like 1 hour plus, just explaining how Capture One works from beginning to the end. So you guys should try check it out. So let's move on. So now another way you can also select or another brushing tool is the AI brush. This is why I love Capture One so much right now. So the AI brush has the ability to identify shapes things that have hard edges. So if I come to this guitar, for example, if I come to the guitar, can you see that it's identifying the guitar? I can click on the guitar, and if I press M, look at it, that selected some area of the guitar. I want to select the hand of the guitar. So now, if I press M to hide my mask and I want to brighten the guitar, can you see? I did that watch just with few clicks because I'm using the AI brush that is able to identify objects, things that have hard edges. So if I want to identify this singer now, I just come to the middle of the singer and I click. Automatically, look, the singer has been added to my selection without stress. So you need to take note of that. So that's what the AI brush does. All right. Then they also have the opposite, the manual erase, then the magic erase, and then the AI erase. It does the opposite. So for example, I have selected and I want to deselect what I have selected. Because look, I select, I want to deselect. I use my erase or magic erase. I use magic erase, or I can now use the AI erase to erase. We're good to go. So that's how it works. Okay. So let's move on. Let's move on. So another thing to take note of is this subject, background, and people. So if I click on subject, normally Capture One should be able to identify your subject and select your subject, but it always Capture One always have problem whenever you are dealing with concert that is not focused on one person. So there are too many people, too many things going on the stage. So the AI messes things up. So I don't usually use this. I only use this for more of picture that doesn't involve too many people. The same thing with the background. When you click on background, so as you can see, it's selecting wrongly. It's not selecting it the way I would like. So just take note of that. Then there's people mask. This one is something I also like to use. So if I want all the faces of people, I just click on face skin and I click on create mask. When I click on create mask, it will look for all the faces you can see and select them. So look at it. Look at the faces. So if, for example, there was a situation where all their faces were too bright, I can reduce the brightness of their faces with one click by just selecting. So that's what the people mask. There are a lot of options here, but we might not be using all of them all the time. So what we're going to be using more is that we're going to be using the AI brush, the magic brush, and the erase. All right. So another thing we're going to be using is the crop and the straighten. So the straighten, for example, like this image is not straight. How do we straighten it? You click on the straighten tool and look for any line that is supposed to be straight, either horizontal or either horizontal or vertical line. So for example, this line now is supposed to be straight. This is like the pillar. So I will click on this place and straighten it, that this is supposed to be a straight line. The moment I click and then I get to the end and I release, it will try to straighten the image and rotate the image. So at the end of the day, look, it has straightened the image. So if you don't want to do it that way, you could also use the straighten tool and look for a vertical line. So like look at the line of the curtain. I can use this line. I say this line is supposed to be straight. The moment I touch it, then someone will rotate the image to try to straighten that particular line. That's how it works. Okay, but make sure you always look for straight line closer to the middle, closer to the center of the subject. Because if you go and look for line at the corner, you might be deceived and it will not give you a good result. For example, if I'm looking for a line at this corner, it might not give you a good result. It might still rotate your image in a way that's it's not looking nice. So you have to take note of that. Okay, so that's something you should take note of. Then crop, you can click on crop and change it to unconstrained so that you can move all the four edges. And when you move it in, if you go outside, you can be able to manually rotate your image if you want to rotate it, if it's not looking the way you want. If you want to rotate it, you can do all of that. Okay, so that's it basically. I don't know if there's any question to ask because we want to proceed to edit this image, for example. So for this image, so what I'm going to do is that I already have ideas in my head, so just follow me. So the first thing is, I already noticed when I was shooting, I wanted this guy in the shot, but I was shooting with a 28 mm. Oh, no, 85. I think the particular was 85 mm. So, but then I wanted this light to be in the shot. I wanted, and there were so many people. I can't go forward. So I said I was going to crop it in post. So you can see this cropping is not bad cropping. Not that you go and shoot picture. Maybe for example, you shoot something like this, and your goal is to shoot this guy's portraits, and you shoot it very wide. The moment you crop like this, you would have lost so much details that your image will now become very, very soft. Don't do this kind of cropping. It's better if you want a picture like this, go closer to the subject. So my own picture, I wanted something that looks symmetry, this and this. So the only thing is that people were troubling me too much. I wanted to move towards the center so I can catch this like so that I can put him at the middle, put this light on top of this person's head, put this light on top of this person's head. But everything was happening fast. I came late and everything. So I just said, let me take something. Let me take something first. Then I can always look for a better shot later if there's time. So get something first. That was my goal. All right. So because of that, I couldn't get that. So that's why this light is not on top of his head. So, but if I want to also do it, I could go and do it in Photoshop and push this, move this guy and push it here. But I don't have that time for all those kind of things. Just want to do something straight, capture one, export, and then they can be ready to post. So let's see what I'll do. So I'll change my cropping to unconstrained so I can move this guy. Sorry, so I can move this particular guy in. Then I'm gonna move this in. Then I don't want so much of these guys to show, but I'm gonna do something about them. So let me push this guy in, and I will rotate the image manually. So as I'm rotating, you can see all these grid lines that are showing. So these grid lines, you can also use it to confirm whether your image is straight. So follow the diagonal, like the vertical or the rectangular, I mean, not diagonal, rectangular, sorry, the vertical or horizontal, and then try to look at it against anything that's supposed to be straight, either vertical or horizontal on your image. So you'll be able to get something straight. So for example, you can look at the two lights up. So if I want both of them to be on a straight line, look at it, can make them be on a straight line and something like this. So, but let me see. If I don't like it, I'll still rotate it again. So, but it's cropping this guy too much, and I'm not feeling it. I may have to go for another image, but let's just bear with this one for now. So a lot of things are going on here which I don't like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new empty layer. I'm going to take my manual brush, then I will press M to show my mask, and I want to brush on this side like this. So when I brush on this side, look at what I'm going to do next. Please follow closely. So when I brush on this now, I'm going to right click on this layer, right click, and to show me so many options. So you can see clear mask, invert mask, fill mask, blah, 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 many things. So for this one now, because I did something round and I left the middle, I'm going to click on fill mask. It will fill the middle. Once it does that, I'll right click and do what they call refine mask. For refine mask is going to make capture one select similar stuff to what you have selected. So I'm going to click on refine mask and I'll press apply. I'll press OK. So what I want to do is I want to reduce the exposure of that area a little bit, not so much. Maybe increase the contrast a little bit. So let's say move this. So what I'm trying to do with that area is that I'm trying to make it not so obvious. Now, when you look at the image, your eyes are not going up to that place. So I just made it a little bit darker so that you can focus on this guy. So because of the lights here, because of these two lights here, that's why I'm not adding this pillar to it. Of course, I'm going to put a vignette at the end of the day, but I just want to start with that. We're building something. So then I want my subject to be very, very pronounced, and I want every other person to fade into the shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another new layer, empty layer. Then I'm going to take my AI mask and I'm going to select him. Once I select him, all right. So if I press M, you can see he's the one selected, but I don't want him. I want the background. So I'm going to right click and do invert mask to invert it. So I now have the people and not him. So since I have that, I can reduce the highlights, and then I can increase the contrast and probably bring the exposure down a little bit, not so much. Less is more, my people. Then I like to play with this guy a little bit just to add a bit of shine. So maybe something like this. Then I'm going to create a new field adjustment. Maybe scroll to the down and add some vignettes. Then I want one of him. So okay, maybe I should just let me see. Let me add a bit of saturation to this image, reduce the, since I'm on the general stuff, and add a bit of contrast. Okay, so something like this. Let's see where we're coming from. See where we're coming from. We're coming from this. We are here. It's not gang gang. It's not. It doesn't have to be, because the beauty of event is that you are capturing what is going on. Like it is. Let me put it. Which word would I use? I use the word. Uh, you are documenting what is going on, and in documenting what is going on, the ambience is very, very important. So you're not supposed to lose the essence of what makes the entire picture. So I just feel the saturation is a bit too intense. Maybe I'll just take it down a bit. Then let me play with the white balance if I like. If I like, let me see. Let me see. So most time I also try to be experimental and not just do, you know, one size fits all. Sometimes I even leave my screen, come back again to check if I like it. So that's how I created this black and white. I checked, I don't, so you can see how many layers I used. I did different things, like I did different things. So like this was when the image started. I just did, basic stuff, basic. I just did basic black and white and just played with the contrast and everything. But look at it. It's nice, but I felt like these people were still too distracting. It was looking as though I didn't like it. So I decided to add more by darkening some people here. Then I think then I darken a little bit more. Let's see. Okay, no, no, okay, yeah, yeah, good. So I say now. So then the next one I darken everywhere around apart from him. Then I think I did the same thing again, everywhere around apart from him. And then before I think I just shy moved around. But the idea was I didn't want too much. I didn't want people to be able to identify their face here. I want everything to just be focused on him. And probably I'm going to crop it. I'm going to crop it a bit more just to, just to put more emphasis on him so that when you look at the picture, you are looking at him. Of course, this picture alone, you cannot use to tell that, oh, this is the person that is there. Maybe until you zoom in or something. But one picture cannot tell the entire story. That's why there are going to be so many pictures. So when you see the different pictures added to this, you will now appreciate this. So you're not supposed to have one picture that tells the entire story. No, it's not compulsory. All right. So it's like series of pictures that combines together and that makes, that makes the story complete. So well, this was one I was editing already. So what I did was that, look at it, I selected the background and just pretty much what I was doing just now. So I just decided to reduce the exposure of the background, because look at the background, look how these cuttings are showing, look how these things are showing, and look at the colors are not popping. So I decided to reduce the exposure, increase their contrast, just to make it pop, to make it look, you know. So maybe it can kind of intense. I may want to maybe dial it back a bit, maybe dial it back a little bit. But the idea is just to put a lot of emphasis on the person, without losing the essence of the entire picture. So um that's it much like that's more like what I was going for. Okay, so let's look at this. When I was taking this picture, so uh, when I was taking this picture, I had the mind of taking this picture into Photoshop. So what I plan to do, I think, was it this or this? I think one of these two. I had the mind of taking it into Photoshop, and what I'm going to do, I don't know if I'll have the time to do it. I've not tried it before, but it's just something I had in my head. I want to cut the subject here and flip them and put them as a reflection up, so that it looks as though this is the subject, and then the image, like there's a mirror up here that is showing whatever is going on down here. That's like the idea that I had in my head, to just move these people, and because I don't like this roof, I don't like the way everything is looking, except I can add what we call a gradient. There's something called a gradient here. So if I create a new layer, I come to this is a gradient. I can drag a gradient down. So if I drag gradient down, let me show you what a gradient does. See the way gradient works. Gradient gives you the effect. It will be more intense. It will gradually fade to this point. So now, if I increase the contrast, look at it, and if I reduce the exposure, it's going to affect up more than it will affect down. That's how the gradient works. Okay, that's how the gradient works. So I could do that, and then probably create a new layer. Take my brush and click on my subject. Click on my subject. Click on him, and then probably come and add some brightness to him, or I can even make him black and white, or make every other thing black and white, make him colored. There's no, it's creativity. There's no there's no limit. You could just be you, just do anything. I really wish there was a spotlight that came on top, that was just on top of him at this point. I would gladly, work on every other thing and make him more emphasized. So maybe I want to do a shot where a layer where I will work on this side. Let me see. Let me work on this side. I feel this side is taking a lot of attention. So they are not seeing my subject on this other side. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to right click, fill mask, right click, refine mask, and then voila, that's it. Then I'm going to reduce the exposure. I'm going to reduce then I'll go to, because this looks like there's haze, I'll just go to dehaze and dehaze it. Yeah, yeah. So maybe add a bit of contrast. Then maybe, yeah. So now look at it with this, and look at it with this. You can see that with this, we're not seeing that somebody was here. This guy, we're just taking the attention. But when I turn this one on like this, we're not seeing that there's somebody here. All right. So that's how you just begin to build the edits here and there. So we're coming from something like this, and this is how far we've gone with the edit. So we can just be adjusting until we get what we are looking for. So that's pretty much how editing is done. So I think this is one of the pictures. I intend to also put a reflection on the top just to mimic that reflection, that yes, there are a lot of people in the concerts, there are a lot of people, and then look at people showing at different corner. Okay, I think I already worked on these two. This was how it was, and this is how it's going. So I'm not done, but it's just something I worked on. I really liked it. Let's see which other one. Yes, I also worked on this. This was before. So I was just playing around. I think this I was here. I think I took several shots. I was just waiting. Can there just be one light that would just touch his face here? That would just touch. I was just waiting, and I had plan. Good. I had planned to remove this guy because this guy was just. I was just like, can this guy just shift a bit? I don't want anybody here at this point, so we could just use the healing, or we could even use, like, let's say let's try the healing stuff. This healing, or I can just click on heal layer, and then I'm just going to brush on this guitar man and hope that Capture One does a good job. Capture One cannot replace Photoshop, right? But of course, it will still do what it can do. So maybe we can go to Photoshop, clean it up a bit more. This might not give us exact what we're looking for. So, but then they say half a loaf is better than none. So maybe I'll just put him at one corner like this, then probably take the AI brush, create a new empty layer, select him, select his hand, select his mic, then check whether it is selected. Oh my God, I don't like the selection. So let's see, select more. Then I'll just right click, maybe refine the mask a little bit. Not so much. Not so much. Then probably just add a little bit of exposure to him. Add some exposure. Add some exposure. Yeah, add some exposure, some contrast. Then then maybe I want to work on the background. So I'll just create a new layer. So this new layer now, there's no mask. So I'm going to right click on it and you see copy mask from adjustment one. So now I have the mask of the subject, but I want to invert it and click on invert mask. So that's also something you can do to save yourself stress. So maybe I would just want to maybe make the people show a little bit more, maybe increase this a little bit more, but add a bit of more contrast. Maybe yeah. Then I can now create a new empty layer, take my gradient and add some gradients, add some gradient to fade some of those things that are there, add some contrast. And there's no rule. It's just be you. That's how it is. Be you. No rule. So like this is before, this is after. You can see before you see the guy, the guitar guy. Look at it, he's no longer there. And you see Johnny was not very obvious, and then see Johnny is now obvious. So that's it basically. So that's it basically. So I think I did something here. All right, so there was something like this. Look at every other exposure. Everybody was so exposed. Uh, I didn't want that. I wanted him, and that's it. So I don't know if there are any questions because that's pretty much how it is done. Questions? Okay, so let's move on to the last segment, the last part. What I want to show you, which is also possible with Capture One. So let me edit one as an example. Ugh, I don't want something that looks too personal. Okay, let's see. Okay, this was backstage. This was backstage when we're done with the concert. All right, this was backstage. So I'm going to clone this. Let me clone it. New variant. And so look at this. So this was how this image was shot. Nothing has been done. So what's the first thing I did? The first thing I did was to work on the white balance because I didn't like the white balance because of the light. I didn't use a flash. There was no flash. All right. I was just shooting. I didn't even call my flash. I left my flash in on. Like I didn't have any plan to use a flash. I just came with the mindset that I'm coming to shoot a concert. I don't need a flash. Whatever lights available is what I'm going to work with. Now, that kind of mindset is because of the fact that I know what I'm doing. And secondly, I have the correct gear for it. If you're shooting a 2005 or 1995 camera, don't expect to get good results. All right. So, like this image was shot with ISO 500. And if I zoom in, you will not see so much noise like that. All right, with ISO 500, see the noise is there, but you have to zoom in. Look at it, this is 300% before you can find the noise. Look, if I go to 100%, this is 100%, 102%. The noise is not so obvious, and I shot at f2, and this was a 50 mm. All right. So the first thing I did was to fix the white balance. So I just create a new field adjustment, come to the white balance and bring it down until I saw what I liked. And I think I also took the tint up a little bit. Then after I did that, the next thing was that I felt like there was so much highlight everywhere. So I just brought the highlight down a little bit. Then because of the face, the outfit, I just opened the shadow, that the shadow should come up a bit. But don't be careful with the shadow. The more you bring the shadow, all this black is not looking like gray. You know, you don't want this. All these kind of pictures, what they call HDR. This is not. This is a different style of photography. It's not regular. So don't do that. So just open it a bit. So if I bring my shadow up, I normally go and crush my blacks so that I can still retain the same So now that I've done this little adjustment, there's no more color. Everything now looking desaturated. So I just increase saturation a little bit. So as I'm increase saturation, I'm seeing that that yellow is coming back up. So I want to go back to my white balance and bring it down. All right, bring it down. I think I went down to like 3,000 plus. Yeah, something like this. Maybe just go up a little bit with the saturation. Then the next thing I did was I wanted the skin. So because I'm dealing with people that I could see like more of their portrait, I'll just come to this place and select body skin, face skin, and I click on create mask. And it's going to create a mask of their face, any part that their skin showed. So I pretty much wanted something like that. Look at their skin. So once I have that, I just wanted to add a little bit of brightness to their skin, just a little bit of brightness to their skin and a little bit of saturation. Then I went down to clarity and I reduced the clarity to make the skin soft. Then the other thing I did was to click on background because I wanted the background. So if I, because this image is quite straightforward, the background can be identified easily. So look, Capture One selects the background perfectly. So I'm just going to bring the highlight of the background down and increase saturation of the background and probably the contrast of the background a little bit. Not so much. Maybe bring saturation down a little bit. Let's see. Not so much. Then I think I just created a new field adjustment and added some little DAs and a bit of vignettes here and there. So I don't know, but look at before and look at after. Before, look at after. You can see a difference in the picture. So this is not perfect. We're just doing it, quickly for you guys. But I think see what I did before. So the one I did when I settled, see you can see a little bit of difference. I think I prefer this. I feel this one is too warm, but however, individual difference. Everything is subjective. So that's how I'll do it. And there's something beautiful about Capture One. You see this arrow that's going up, I can press copy. If I see another image, look at this image now, and I reset it, I can click on paste. I need to paste exactly what I did on that picture and paste it on this one. So if I'm waiting for you, oh, Capture One. All right, good. So if I put them side by side, you see that they retain the same vibe. But of course, this is not my, I prefer the other edit I did. Try this edit. It looks more natural or neutral compared to. So that's pretty much, what I did. And you can see the way, look at before and after. You can see it. So that's what I did for the picture. So any questions? Because that is it, my people. Was the class also, was it okay? Because I don't know. Somebody raising their hand. Yeah, must speak.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. The class has really been so much impactful. Thank you so much. The software, I have like two questions. The software, is it a free software? Because this is a common question that most persons ask. And does it require any special configuration while setting it up? And
Okay.
the second question is, can you edit badge, pictures in badge at once using this software?
So, okay, so let's start from, is it a free software? No, it's not a free software, it's a paid software. So if you can afford to pay for it, fine. If not, I think if you check online, you will definitely find a version that you can be able to use for the meantime, maybe before you buy it or something. But it's not a free software. I don't even know how much because the version I'm using, I didn't pay for it. So I got it somewhere online, downloaded it, and I've been using it. So that's it. So, but with that version, I cannot do, there are certain things I cannot do on, like cloud storage. There are certain features that will not be active simply because I don't have the original paid version. So then can you do batch edits? Yes, just like the way I copied and pasted. So you could select multiple pictures. I can select a lot of them. I can press Control A, select all, and then apply. And I click on this arrow that is facing that, it will apply on all of them at the same time. Is there any special configuration? I just feel what you should know basically, like I always tell my students, the more recent your computer is, the better it is for you, because your a more recent computer will support more recent software, will support will support um will support, what's it called again, then will give you better accuracy when it comes to looking at the colors, because you don't want a computer that what you see is not what you get. What you're seeing on the screen is different from what appears on your phone and all that. So that's pretty much what I think when it comes to configuration. Just try to get a modern computer. It makes the work easier for you. But no special setting. Once you follow the instruction for installation, once it's installed, you're good to go. Any other question, guys? Any other question, guys? Let's talk.
My people, this one, thank you so much, sir. This one we are not talking. Is everything okay? Are we good?
Yeah, okay, I guess. Yeah. Well, so maybe if there's any feedback later on on your group chat, you could update me if there's need for us to have another version, another section. Just that we didn't start this section, on time. Maybe if we're gonna have another section, we can try using mobile phone to edit. Because I don't know if there are people like that who have, you know,
Wow.
who have such.
That would be so great, sir. There are many persons working in different churches. They don't have access to good laptops. It's mobile
So,
phones. I really appreciate we have that version.
so that would be another time, because I don't we can't work that out today again. Can't work that out today again because
Okay,
of
sir.
my schedule. So maybe we'll fix that. We'll schedule that. We'll have but that mobile phone version. There are two softwares we're going to be using if you want to go and get them ahead of time and practice with them. The first one is called the 3D Lots. Can you just give me a moment? Let me see. Let me see if I can join with my phone. Hold on. I'll just show you the software. You can get them downloaded and be practicing something before probably
Okay, sir.
we'll have this section. Okay. All right. So let me stop presenting here. So I'm presenting on my phone. Can you guys see my phone? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear
Yes,
Yes,
you.
sir.
sir.
We are with you,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Okay.
We
So
can hear you.
one of the software you're going to get is the 3D Lot Mobile. So this one I like to use a lot. So 3D Lot Mobile. It's quite easy to use anyways. So let's say I don't know which picture to use. Okay, let's look at this. Uh, So let's say you have a picture like this. You could, there are there are basic things, brightness, contrast, all these things, all this basic stuff. Or you could go to the lot section, and it requires internet to work. Actually, it requires internet. So if you're going to use it, it requires internet. So most times I go to the lot section, and I go to the top 25, or I can just go from all these options, and you see different presets that you can apply. If you like any of the presets, let's say you like this kind of vibe, it just applies on your image, and you can reduce the intensity or increase the intensity. So I like to use the top 25, and I don't know which of them. Okay, so something like this. All right, so you can press and hold your screen to see the before, release your screen to see the after. But let me look for a more colorful image. But I don't know. I don't think that image is colorful enough. It's not having. Let me look for a more colorful image. So let me see.
I'm not seeing your screen. Oh.
You can see my screen.
No, no, no. I'm not seeing your screen.
We can see it. Maybe you leave the call and join again, please.
I'm
The
showing
screen is visible.
my mobile phone screen. So if I go to that, so you can go to top 25. You can see different colors, so different presets that you could apply. So once you apply them, you can go back to the basic and add exposure if you want to, add contrast if you want to. You know, you can just do your thing, do you? So everything still boils down to what you are okay with. So and then this, and you also get Lightroom. So Adobe Lightroom is also something, but Lightroom is not free. It's paid. So this was the one I think I did this for a class. I did one class online. Was it online? A physical class. So I edited this image. This was the before, and then this is the after. So I edited this using uh, Lightroom. So what else? What else? So Lightroom is just still great. It starts its own stuff as well. So get those two softwares. Maybe we can set on that class to work on how to use them. But there are many other softwares. There's Snapseed, there's Snapseed, you know, Snapseed, there's Picards, there are many softwares. There are many, but the ones I use are the ones I've mentioned. They get the job done, and I'm okay with them. I'm okay with their results. I'm okay with their result. Let me see. Is there? That was okay. So like this image now, I edited it in look at the image originally, and then I did this in Lightroom. Originally, I did the edit in Lightroom. So there are a lot of things you could do. You just because I don't use all of these things often, so that's why I don't use them often, but you get the point. So yep, that's it basically.
Okay.
That's it
Thank you
basically.
so much, sir.
Yeah.
we are so grateful.
Yep. So guys, thank you so much for being part of the class. Apologies for starting late and for rescheduling the class so late. So that'll be all from my
Thank you,
end.
sir.
So everyone
Thank you,
have a
sir.
great evening. God bless us. Bye for now.
Thank you so
Someone
much,
is
sir. We are
asking a
Thank
so
you,
question.
sir.
grateful.
Please.
Okay.
Someone is asking a question where?
Yes, he said